Welcome, everybody, to The Journey, the new podcast name. We have gone through a little transition. I think we made some announcements last episode, and I've got Maria here on with me today. How are you, Maria?
I'm doing very well. I just got back from Nashville, and it's Wednesday, so hump day.
It's Wednesday. You're ready. Have you recovered from your Nashville weekend?
No, I need about another week, but we'll be back. We'll be back.
So incidentally, I was in Nashville as well for my daughter's volleyball tournament. And Monday morning, I told Maria, the family, we were downtown Nashville, and I told her we saw her out in Nashville, and she immediately started blushing. So I don't know what that means. We did not really see you.
I was like, where did you see me?
We went to the food hall downtown. We went by, is it Tootsie's? Mm-hmm. The bar, the little honky tonk. And so we did that. And then we got out of there kind of quick before the bachelorette crowd came through and was wreaking havoc. And we had a good time.
Yeah, we had a girl with us. We just claimed her as our bachelorette. We're like, let's just tell everyone it's your bachelorette weekend, and we got all the attention. So
I bet. And so now it's hump day. We're talking new year, new podcast, sort of rebranding, I wouldn't say new direction. I think we're still trying to find the direction for the podcast. But why don't you share with everyone what we've rebranded the podcast to?
Yeah, so we renamed the podcast The Journey Podcast. And basically, with the way that we've been recording now, it's kind of been sporadic, I would say, but it's more so to follow the journey. How do I explain it?
No, that's it. That's good. Right. So we've had, I don't know what we've called them over the last 2 years or however long we've been doing it. I don't even know when we started this podcast. We need to look that up. Do we have an anniversary coming up, or have we hit any milestones with it?
We'll have to look back at when we recorded our first episode, when that journey started. Let's see.
Well, that's it's pretty exciting, so it was the Pest Podcast, and that is a mouthful. So we're calling it The Journey, Navigating Pest Control and Business, hosted by myself and co-hosted with Maria here today. And so we took this opportunity to, find what are we trying to do with this podcast? And really it's been from day one to just take an action to start doing a podcast. It's something we always wanted to do. We couldn't find a way to implement it or incorporate it. So we just took that step. So there's not really necessarily an agenda or quote unquote business plan around it. But I know we've had fun. It's allowed us to be connected with a lot of awesome speakers, guests, people within the industry, outside of the industry. So that has been really, really cool. And so, we're going to try to be more intentional for giving journey updates. And it's not just about us, Pruitt Pest Control or Rusty or whatever. It's more, from start to finish of how we've documenting starting a new company in the pest control industry. Myself, I guess I'm more of an insider now than what I was, but coming into this as an outsider, new to the industry. So it's been pretty interesting, and I have not gone back to listen to any episodes from back in the day. A year ago,
which was actually our first episode was August 2020. So that we're in 2023. I was like, what year are we in? Isn't that crazy?
Oh, wow. So we hit 2 years already. So
yeah, we just kind of missed our anniversary.
Oh, wow. We need to go celebrate then. All right. We'll bring in lunch to the office today or something. But anyway, it's cool to have the milestone updates of where we are, what's happening, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm not one to sugarcoat much. I've learned from a lot of others, and I realized, everybody skins their knees to get to where they're going. When you emulate to be like a lot of successful people or businesses out there, man, the ones that just say they just got through overnight and they talk about everything's great. And I've learned that usually is not the case. You can pull back the curtain and you can see some skeletons, or you can see the truth behind. And so we try our best to document, what's working, what's not, how we've screwed up, how we're having successes, And I do think it'll be interesting, 10 years from now to go back and listen to these. So this is going to be a journal entry update. Today's January 25th. So we're already through almost the first month of the year. So we're going to give an update today about, what's going on. I think we finished the last one in December of 2022. So maybe about a little over a month ago when we were wrapping the year up. So one of the things that we were trying to focus on getting our team ready as we were wrapping up last year, getting ready for this year was, hey, what do we want to focus on next year? And we've talked about goals and all that, but a lot of us come back talking about New Year's resolutions, and we have not really set quote unquote New Year's resolutions for our company or for our team members. We've chosen theme words. And Maria, tell us about theme words, because you've done an amazing job the last few years of taking our theme words, coordinating with all our people, and as we've grown, it's more and more coordination. Tell us about our theme word and what we're doing with Pruitt Pest Control and with Pruitt Insurance Group, how we're using theme words and what that looks like.
Yeah, so I think that we've kind of all established that New Year's resolutions are for the birds. I have never in my entire life kept a New Year's resolution. And so we adopted this idea from Eloise, with Eloise Design Co. And every year we pick a theme word, and my word last year was intentional, and my theme word this year is consistent. So basically it's your theme word for the year. Kind of have that word in the back of your mind just as you're going through your decision-making processes, and it can be for your professional and your personal life. And so what we're doing, I personally have to see things, have it in front of me every day. I love making lists, putting sticky notes up, just having your word, sticky noted to your laptop, or wherever you pass by every single day. So we just take pictures with our team. We give them some time to think about it. I think Rusty had a little bit of extra time to think about his, but it's good. I mean, you really have to be intentional with it, and you have to be we're very serious about it, and we talk about it in all of our conversations. We have our weekly huddles, and it's kind of like a good check-in. How are you being? Last year, my word was intentional. How are you being intentional with your time? Or for me, finding that cadence with my word, which is consistent. It's just a great way to keep that New Year's resolution, quote unquote, in front of you, which is really hard to do. You see people going to the gym and you don't see them come month 2. So it's something that's just always, in the back of our mind. So I love it. And we've done it for both pest control and our insurance team. And everyone has fun with it. I think one year, one of our team members used the word help. And
help.
It was they were holding up the sign and they're like, help, but it's fun. We have fun with it. Rusty, what's your word?
So my word this year is focus. Focus. And I realize it's 3 of us had focus, I think, this year between the 2 companies. And previous years, I think I mentioned on the last episode, we had, and I know wisdom was a big one I've used. Value was one, that we've used. Relationships, those are all ones that I've used in the past. And one thing I challenged our team with this year, as we came up with our theme words, right, we did it, we came up with it, we took pictures, and we'll go into that in a minute. Let Maria share with everybody what we've done with this. But then after everyone came up with their theme words in the last few years, it's interesting, a month, 2, 3 months later, are we really living it? Are we really talking about it? Or did we come up with a theme where we were excited, we took a picture for social media, and then did we forget about it? So in that sense, it's almost like setting a New Year's resolution, because what happens, you start off doing, X amount of push-ups, or you're going to the gym, or you're trying not to drink as much, whatever it is, whatever someone's New Year's resolution is, and you find that you're not doing it. So I've kind of found, even though simplifying it to a theme word is simpler than having some crazy New Year's resolution, you still have to keep it top of mind, right? Theme words, focus for me is huge. I've found myself being a little distracted with, and not I feel like I'm focused, but am I focused on the right things every day, right? The right things I need to be doing it within the company. Am I talking to our key people enough? Am I spending quality time with our key people? Am I focusing? I feel like I'm focused on metrics for the company and direction and those things, but am I focusing on our leadership team? Am I focusing on people that need attention? And everybody has different love languages. We talked about that recently, but for me, it was focus. It was huge. It was an opportunity for us to. We had a company wide call. It was an opportunity for us in our town hall Zoom meeting. This was, gosh, was this the first week of January, Maria? Maybe we had a company wide call, and we talked about theme words, what they meant. And Maria, maybe if you will, in the show notes, put a link to Eloise's website and her blog where she gave some guidance on this. So for anyone listening that wants to do something like this, it's really manageable, really doable, really easy. It's fun. It's very interesting to see what your team members choose as a theme word. But then to take it a step further, how can we help? How can we help our team members? How can we help our, people that report to us? How can we help them achieve that? How can we help them with that throughout the year? I think that's pretty cool. I know I can help Isaac with his because his was dominate, which was
Yeah.
awesome. Just dominate.
No, it's really cool because you really it there's more in like intimacy when you talk about your theme words, and there's things you uncover from your team too, or just not necessarily what you're going through, but for me, my word is consistent. Okay, guys, I need your help to hold me accountable because I'm in turn, my inconsistency is affecting you guys. And one person on our team, she chose surrender because she wants to get closer to God and just her faith. And so there's a lot of things that you find out about each other that you may not have recognized going into the year. And so it's really awesome. I think it brings us a little bit closer to each other too, which is cool.
Absolutely. And so it's been a fun exercise. Like I said, we've done it for a few years now, just with the pest control company over the last 2 years. And so, like I said, being able to use it as almost a coaching, right? An accountability tool within within the group. And then when if you see someone's theme word is surrender, that can kind of give you a little insight, about what they're focusing on for the year. And it could be surrender, it could be focus, it could be, wisdom, it could be whatever, but it really does kind of help you get to know that person a little bit better and ask some questions. So what I challenge for those on our team that are listening to this, and I challenge you to, hold each other accountable to bringing it up constantly. Are we bringing this up once a month in our one-on-one meetings? Are we trying to find ways we can help that person, support them in whatever they're trying to do? So another cool benefit of doing a theme word I found is, besides obvious of what we've talked about, the engagement and whatnot, but it's an opportunity to put this out on social media, sort of a public proclamation that, here's what it is. And so it does kind of hold you accountable there. But it also, from a culture standpoint, I think it's important. So we don't post. If you look at our social media, if you go to Pruitt Pest Control, search us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, you'll see we don't post much about the technical side of what we do. Just like with our insurance agency, we don't post much on the technical side of insurance and coverages and whatnot. Not that that's neither of those are important, but we want social media to capture the culture of our group and our people. Hopefully
Right.
people see that we're fun. They see that we work hard and we play hard. We're determined, we're goal oriented. So that was pretty cool to be able to take those theme words, put those online on social media. So I encourage you, if you want some ideas for this, if there's something you want to do with your company or organization, go to Pruitt Pest Control, go to Pruitt Insurance Group, and just look at posts. I think they were just posted here in Maria, the last few days.
Yeah. And honestly, I kind of just had a revelation. The way that we capture our social media is like the journey. Like you really are documenting a journey on your social media. So it's cool if you look back, you can go and see 3 years ago what words we chose, and we kind of check in. It's like I was intentional about that, and I got to where I am now because I was following that word. So it really is like a little journey that we have going on our social media. So
It really,
accountability for sure.
it really is. And the same thing on your personal social media. I don't post a ton. I tend to post stuff. For me, it's almost like a journal. I have friends that post a lot on social media. I have a lot of friends that are not on social media at all. They make fun of me for being on social media. But for me, it's not about posting it for them to see or anybody else to see as much it is. I can go back through my Instagram, for example, and see things that I've captured. And it's really cool to see the caption behind it, what I was feeling. I put it out there. Same thing with our company. I bet if we went back to our first social media post for Pruitt Pest Control, I bet we were just we would be dying laughing, probably looking at some of the stuff that we posted. But it's like this podcast. It's a journal entry. So I encourage you, if you want to do something like this, reach out to us, reach out to Maria, myself. She'll put a link for some guidelines that we use to kind of roll it out to our team. It's nothing complicated. Pretty cool. Like I said, I just encourage our team to keep talking about it throughout the year and not just make it be a one-time exercise. So that's going on. I thought that was pretty cool. It's an awesome way to kick off the year. Another update for us. We talk about EOS a lot. So I'll touch on that, Maria, and maybe go through some of our goals for this year. I'm looking at our Trello board here, and so I feel like we're like the poster child for like advertising for EOS, but we believe in it so much as far as the principles, and a big part of it is planning, right? Goal setting, and we do it in 90-day. We look at everything in 90-day windows. So with EOS, January, February, March, we're looking at those 90 days. What do we need to do? And of course, this looks a lot different than 2 years ago, what our objectives were. Back then, it was probably like, let's get some customers. We need revenue on the books. We need to implement new software, new marketing campaigns. And some of those things we've sort of got dialed in at this point. And so we're working on different things. So I thought it'd be interesting just to go through some of the rocks, is what we call them. So rocks are the biggest things that need to happen in the 90 days. So at the end of the 90 days, we look up what were the most important things we needed to have in place to move the ball forward, right? To get closer to our 1-year goal, our 3-year picture, our 10-year target of where we want our company. So just going through, we had a pretty big recruiting goal. We try to write these goals or rocks in SMART form. So they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time tested, or timely. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but essentially, we had four new hires that we needed to hire by the end of March, right? So we put that on paper. We assigned that rock to one person. They're responsible for recruiting. We're going through resumes, for working referrals that we have come in, phone interviews, et cetera. So from A to Z, we had a goal to hire 4 people, and I believe we've got 3 of those 4 already knocked out, and it's less than 30 days from when we initially set that rock. So that was pretty cool. And again, key thing about the rocks: 5 to 7, no more than 7 for the whole company. Individual people can have individual rocks they're working on, but as a company, these are the things that are most important. So that was a huge one. We had sales position, we had service professional positions. Those are the ones we were hiring. We've got them knocked out except for one more service pro position. Let's see. So I got assigned a rock for the company. It was basically define our sales training plan and onboarding for new sales reps. So we just brought on a new sales professional in East Alabama. We just moved one of our awesome service professionals to a sales professional position in the Gulf Coast under Casey, who's kind of moving into a sort of a leadership team lead for our sales. Casey's doing an amazing job. So it's an opportunity for him to bring Turner under his wing. And I believe Turner's already sold a $30,000 account this month on his very first month, which is pretty freaking awesome. So anyway, so as far as my rock, it's about having a training plan on paper. We do a lot of things with sales training, but it is not necessarily as perfect as we want it, right? And I'm going to touch a little bit on what that looks like after we go through these rocks. We had another one as far as our 2023 budget. We want to make sure it was complete. We had cash flow forecast, everything buttoned up, roll that out to the team. We're aligning management, leadership bonuses along with that. So that was another one that was assigned to a certain person on our team. Pico Fest. Tell us what Pico Fest is real quick, Maria.
So Pico Fest for us is our annual meeting between all of our locations. So last year we had it in Auburn, Alabama, and this year we're having it in Auburn, Alabama. But it's just a way for us to check in, go over our rocks, go over our goals for the year. It's so much fun. I think it's about 2 days long. And you mentioned working and work hard, play hard. You definitely work through it. There's, longer sessions where we're going through everything and then we have fun the next day. So it's super fun, but yeah, it's just a way for us to check in with each other.
Absolutely.
It's hard to do that when you have, multiple locations sometimes. And so it's good to, just all spend some time together, and it's more of like an is it R&R? Is that what this rest and recuperate?
Rest and relaxation.
Relaxation. So
and we throw in a little work there too, but
just a little bit.
But this will be our third one. We actually did a whole episode on this maybe last year on Pico Fest, and we talked about it, why we did it. Again, if you're interested in that, look at some of the later episodes.
We also give awards out. I feel like I didn't give it enough justice.
No, there's so much that goes into it. And so one of our rocks, and this was assigned to Ashley on our team, was to plan out Pico Fest, which again, a company retreat. We're hosting it first part of March. What does it look like? What's the agenda? What speakers are we bringing on board? Accommodations, the logistics of people coming. We've got some really cool award winners that won some awards from last year that I cannot reveal the little awesome award that that the prize that they're getting. They have no clue they're going to get this, but it's really pretty cool. But anyway, that was one of our rocks, and that was due obviously by the first 90 days, but we've got to have a lot of those nailed down in the next week or two. We've got another one. We have one of our markets where we needed a service professional hired, and we're moving one of our team members who's been in that market to more of a sales oriented role. So that's another big one for us. So we've got that as one of our rocks. And then also our inventory management system and ordering process for a lot of our products. I think we realized it was not as dialed in as we thought it was. Probably not nearly as good as it needed to be. Better than it had been in the past, but I think we felt some pain points. And again, this is one of those things. I met with every one of our team members for all locations, with the exception of 2 I haven't had an opportunity to meet in person toward the end of last year. And I got a lot of feedback, positive, and then opportunities for us to get better. One of those was training, ongoing training. I think our people, they really want that. So that's something that we have on our radar that we're implementing. Absolutely, from feedback from those one-on-ones. The other was product. Do we have the right product on the shelves when we need it? Right. And so the system of someone showing up and they go to get product and it's not there, it needs to be ordered, and there's a week lag. I mean, it's so inefficient, and it didn't get there overnight. It's just one of those things that if you're not looking at it every day, you don't, inspect what you expect, right. It gets away from you. So that's one of the things. That was one of our rocks. We determined we need to get organized with that, because we want our guys having the tools for what they need to do when they need to do it. We want them to have everything they need to go out there and be awesome at what they do. So those were our rocks, our goals for the year. We've got those set, which align with those. We have a sales goal, we have profitability goals, we have gross margin goals. So we have some of those that are set, ready to go. So a lot of these rocks in the first 90 days, again, are things that we've identified that we need to put in place and get accomplished before we can move the ball down the field to be ready for the next 90 days. So again, if you're just now hearing this for the first time, EOS got a whole episode and several episodes with that mentioned in it. So feel free to check that out.
So tell us about, like, I have been assigned rocks before. I think everyone when you have that, common goal, we all kind of are responsible for our own rocks. But tell us how we, within like our company, check in with those rocks. If you give me 90 days historically, I'm a procrastinator. Okay. So if I know I have 90 days, I'm probably going to wait until maybe like the last 30 days to get it accomplished. How do you check in with people to make sure that they are hitting those goals, or they're working towards those goals? Because some of those things you can cross off the list, but you also have,
Absolutely.
like it's going to take time,
Yeah.
especially with like an owner's, like a manual or whatever you're looking at. Like those things take time. How do you check in with
Absolutely. I'm going to give a shout out to Michael Jans. Michael Jans was a friend of mine. He ran a group called Quantum Club back in the day. It was sort of a mastermind group of insurance agents from all over the country. It evolved in agency revolution, and I have some of the utmost respect for Michael Jans. I would not be where I am without Michael, and he spent time with me one-on-one, but spent a lot of time on stage and workshops and conferences all over the country that I'm flying all over the place to listen, and so. One of the things EOS and the sort of this 90-day planning is not a new concept. It's been around. EOS has just helped organize it in a way that you can have the good 90-day goals, but to your point, if you don't have the accountability to make sure they're happening, it kind of turns into that New Year's resolution. We were fired up about it. We got to go, and then we forgot to check in on it. So, Michael Jans, the Quantum Club, they had put something together years ago. It's called the Quarterly Roadmap. Same thing. What are your top projects you're working on this quarter, right? And then what was interesting about his system was, you wrote it out smart. I need to put a sales program in place by February 15th, where every new sales rep gets this specific, whatever, right? So that's a smart goal. So then Michael would have us write down, in order to accomplish that at the end of 90 days, in the next 30 days, what do I need to do to be on pace to finish that, right? So I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, because to your point, human nature for most people is to wait to the last minute to get that done. So one year, for example, this was years ago, I wanted to launch a newsletter. Everything's going digital, paper's not really a thing anymore. And I said, you know what, I want to do a digital and a print newsletter about what's going on in the community, send it out to targeted, neighborhoods all around the Auburn-Opelika area. That was a project I wanted to do. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. There is a ton of stuff that needs to go down with that. So for me, for example, first 30 days, I said, okay, number one, I need to research what's my audience. Who do I need to send this to? I need to nail down the audience. From there, I need to figure out, what printer do I use, right? How much is this going to cost? Is it going to cost $1 per issue? Is it going to cost $5? I had no clue, right? And so I had a lot of due diligence items that were due in the first 30 days. Second was I need a graphic designer. I need a graphic designer who could lay this out. You don't want me doing that. Maria, if you had been around then, you would have gotten that task. I'm telling you. So those were things that I needed to accomplish in the first 30 days. Well, to get this thing live in 90 days, I had to do those things first. And then I could start stacking on things from then. How am I going to get articles? How am I going to do a digital version of it? All those things. So I identified what I need to do the next 30 days. So then I just focused on those more tasks in the first 30 days. Didn't have to worry about the stuff that didn't need to be done right away. There's some things I could do a little bit later. So I think that's important to identify, what needs to be done in the first 30 days, what needs to be done in the first 60 days, and then, toward the end. So if you think on the tail end of a project, a lot of that stuff's happening, in the last 30 days of your quarter. But don't even worry about it until then. Wait till it shows up on your to-do list. Sometimes you knock it out early and get to it earlier. There's not that pressure, but you have to start taking steps early. So again, anybody on our team, you've heard me say this, but I think it still really holds true. So that's number one. Thank you, Michael Jans. Shout out Quantum Club, Agency Revolution. Step two is accountability. And for us, it's that weekly accountability. So we have the level 10 meeting every week, and we walk through a very intentional agenda. And part of that is we review our rocks. So toward the beginning of the meeting, we take those 5 to 7 rocks, we read through them, and then whoever's responsible for it is responsible for saying on pace or off pace. That's it. We're not discussing it on pace or off pace. If it's on pace, we don't discuss it. We move on. If someone says off pace, and we got to be real, you got to be honest. If someone says off pace, we don't discuss it then, but we move it to part of the agenda where we talk about it. Okay, Ashley, what's going on? Why are you off pace? Well, I've run into this issue and yada, 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 or I'm overwhelmed, or, I can't get a phone call back from this key person in order to move it. So that's when, as a group, we talk through, let's identify the problem. Let's discuss it, and then let's try to find a solution to it. So we do that as a team. So that accountability is amazing. And you've got to be real. If you're off pace, you got to say it and you got to own it. Because sometimes people say they're off pace, and when we discuss it, they say, I'll be honest, I just haven't done anything with it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's so awesome to have that structure too, because I mean, not everybody is going to react the same way. And I think knowing like how you're going into the meeting, yes, I'm off pace, but my leader isn't going to blow up in my face, or you're giving the opportunity for everyone to speak up and then help each other reach those goals. And so I think that's awesome. And you're not wasting time. You're on pace, on to the next thing. Let's get to
that's right.
The problems that
you need to solve, right?
Yeah.
Let's discuss them. And sometimes you go down a rabbit hole, and you've got to be able to be like, hey, we'll talk about that offline. It's not a big deal. We want this hour and a half. Ours is an hour and a half, no more, no less. And it is really high level. It's very efficient. There's a reason there's a specific agenda, because we accomplish more in that week and a half than I think a lot of people do in an entire week, because it's so focused. And it doesn't mean we don't get off focus sometimes, and we have to get reeled back in and go back to the basics of how we're running this meeting. But that's been a game changer for us to be able to accomplish these things, right? And again, you're out there, you're like, well, I don't even know where to start with goals. I don't know what my rocks need to be for the next 90 days. Reach out to a mentor, reach out to us. I mean, I'll give any insight I can. It may not be worth much, but I can give you any insight, if you need help in those. But just start off with something. What are something we're trying to accomplish? So those are our rocks for the first 90 days of this year. We're already on pace for all of them. I feel good about them. We'll have totally different rocks next quarter, and I'm anxious to see what they look like. So lastly, so we've talked about kicking off this year. We've talked about theme words. We've talked about setting our rocks for the year to get the year going. Again, notice I didn't talk about anything about annual goals. I just talked about the rocks. We have our annual goals. We map those out, but all I'm worried about with my team is talking about what do we need to do in the next 90 days? What do we need to accomplish, right? Lastly, I want to talk about another thing we've got going on, something we've done in the past. And Marie, I believe probably when you came on with us 3 or 4 years ago, we were doing this. It was our book club, right?
We had a book club. It was my first ever book club.
So tell me about that and your experience as someone who's never done a book club.
So I really enjoyed, I can't remember what the first book we ever read, but it was just so much fun. We had it once a week, and it was at Starbucks, and we would all, get our drinks and sit down and talk about the chapters that we read. And it was just so much fun. It was just another opportunity for us to have organized, intentional time with each other outside of the workday. And I do believe that one time I did not do my reading and, nobody said anything to me. It was just fun. I don't know. That's the only way I can really
if I'd realized that, I would have called you out.
Yeah. You definitely, I'm sure it was obvious that I didn't read, but, it was just a lot of fun, and I'm excited that you guys are, kicking it back up again. And I don't know, what's the title of the book?
So this year we're doing, I say this year, the name of this book is The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes.
What made you choose that book?
So actually I had someone refer me to that book years ago. My goal years ago, I've talked about this, was to really hone in my sales skills, try to be the best salesman I could be, so I could have some skills to turn around and teach our salespeople, which is why one of our rocks, again, is define our training plan for sales and have accountability program in place, and specifically for onboarding new salespeople, because everybody sells differently. But at the end of the day, the same sales principles apply, right?
Mhm.
You're asking questions, you're building rapport, you're understanding sort of the lay of the land of whatever you're trying to sell and what their needs are. I can't stand it when people just when they're talking about selling, they just they just don't quit talking and they're telling you
Mhm.
why their product's great and all this stuff. And I'm like, if you would slow down and just ask some questions, they will tell you how to sell them,
What
right?
they need, yeah.
What they need. They will tell you where there's a gap. And I'm a big believer if there's not a gap, then we're not going to sell them, right? If
Right.
there's not a need and we don't have a solution, we're not going to force it on them. And how can I tell someone how great my product is if that doesn't even if they don't see value in it? So I've got to understand that, right? So that was part of our rock with the training and part of this book club that we're kicking off is for our sales team, for both companies, for all locations. And so we had a kickoff. I didn't mention this earlier. We had a kickoff 2-day sales meeting for all our sales people in our company and our leadership team. We did that in the big training room, and we talked for about a half a day, specifically on ways we can improve our sales processes. Second day, we talked about this ultimate sales machine, and we walked through it, this book. And so that was part of our sales kickoff training for this year. So we do have some guys that are coming in with little to no sales experience. So this will be awesome for them to learn these basic sales principles that some of us have used and lived by for a long time. But how we're using the book. So I thought this was kind of cool. So as part of our training plan is we need to have ongoing sales training and development. We just haven't had it,
Mhm.
right? We're a startup company, we're a small business, we're going in a lot of different directions. And so this is our way of taking one action into a defined training plan. So Maria, have you heard me talk in the past about, we want to act like the company today, like we envision it to look like 10 years from now?
Yes.
Remember we've talked about that?
Yes.
Like it comes to processes or systems or scalability. Well, that's part of it. So in 10 years from now, if we want to be a $50 million company, what does that look like? Well, when it comes to sales, I picture us having a full-time sales trainer,
Mhm.
full-time sales coaching. We have our sales teams going through, sales ninja training constantly to sharpen that craft, just like our customer service team, right? Going through that for whatever they're working, our management team, our service professionals, et cetera. And so part of that is ongoing training. We don't have a full-time sales trainer right now. We don't have that resource. We may not for years. However, that doesn't mean we should just not
Not
do it,
great. Yeah.
right? So our first step in just taking some sort of action to put this in place was to identify a book. And that's what we did with the Ultimate Sales Machine. We identified that as our book. This was actually one of my rocks, last quarter. We put our sales team together. We had our kickoff meeting. That was sort of step 2. We introduced what we were going to do with the training. And we're just starting off with every 2 weeks, we're doing, we're taking one chapter a week. So every 2 weeks, we're going to discuss the 2 chapters at a time, right? So it may take us 2 months to go through this. I think my point to the team was if we do that and we really put some intense focus on each chapter, talk about it, and then whatever skill they're talking about, that's what we're working on. That's what we're working on for the next 2 weeks.
Mhm.
What we're learning in the first 2 chapters of this book, we're having our first club meeting tomorrow. There'll be a Zoom meeting for all locations. We're going to take that and it's time management right now and a few other things. And we're going to train on that for the next 2 weeks and bring it up until the next one. And then whatever principles we're learning there, we're then going to apply those. So we're trying to break it down into small bite-sized increments,
Right.
if you will. Does that make sense?
How are you guys? I know we've done it different in the past. Is there going to be one person leading it? How do you kind of like, I think I remember last time one person was responsible for the first 2 chapters and then the next week someone else responsible. Is that how it's going to be structured this time? Because I loved that. I think it helped me with my what's the word? Not public speaking, but like the floor was mine. I was like, I don't know what to do with all of this power. But like
You-
I loved doing it. I loved being in charge of those chapters and then kind of setting up like a little what is it, game plan for like, what are we
yeah.
going to do today? Like that was
Honestly, I have not thought about that till you just said it. Man, that is a great idea. I think we'll do that. So I think we'll identify someone to facilitate it. And as we go through the different weeks, it should have an opportunity to rotate around
Yeah.
to everybody. That way they're the one facilitating the meeting, facilitating, we'll have sort of a loose agenda of what, things
Yeah.
that they need to hit. But look at you, Maria. What an awesome idea. Like
Well, I
completely
mean,
forgot about that.
it's just a really cool opportunity again, to be in in another space with your team. It's a great opportunity to uncover what they're thinking or what their thoughts are, and being in a space where you feel comfortable. It's, you're not getting judged. And I don't know, I just love a book club. I'm trying to think of something that I want to read. I don't know if anyone would come to my book club though.
Yeah, I'm sure they would, especially if you're facilitating, unless you skip like you did that one time that I
That
did
one
not
time.
catch that one time. Well, that's cool. I'm excited about this, and hopefully we can take this to other parts of our business. So we haven't done it in a while. And look, reality is too. Last time we did it, we had a book, and everybody loved it. Everybody's engaged. We were getting up at everybody was there at Starbucks at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it got to where it almost sort of had a shelf life. It kind of got to where it kind of got played out, and everybody wasn't quite as excited about it. So this will be an iteration. We may not do this forever, but I know for me, for the rock that I'm trying to accomplish for our sales program, this is the first place we're starting. So I encourage everybody to just take that first action when you're looking at some of this stuff. So wrapping up from there, I did want to touch on one more thing I kind of forgot about. Again, this is a journal entry update of what's going on, what we're focusing on. And I've gone through some of those things. Wow, I think we've gotten a lot accomplished in the last 30 to 45 days. I just got back from an event last week called Power down in Tampa, Florida. Seth Garber, he's a friend, mentor. I got hooked up with Seth in the last couple of years. He runs Pest Daily, phenomenal guy. He hosted a conference or more like a mastermind sort of workshop, if you will, down in Tampa last week. It was amazing. Have I seen you, Maria, much since I've been back?
No. I've heard great things, but I don't know. You were busy. I think you were honed in the entire time. I was like, where's Rusty?
I've got all these notes. For those of you looking right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm just going to show this, but like just going from the Power Conference, I've got all these pages of notes of just things that I've learned, things that I already knew, but I just needed to maybe learn again. I'm just looking at some of these notes. So Seth spoke on one of the sessions. It was vision plus strategy plus process equals empire, right? So building your empire. And again, your empire may look different from the next guys, but everybody has their own idea of sort of what their own model or empire would look like. And he went through what's called the power of 100. It was a systematic approach to building your mini empire, which was really cool. I mean, he kind of broke it down by steps. Afterwards, I'm like, Seth, that was amazing. These are all things I know. These are all things that I've heard. I've tried to tell to my team, but he laid it out in such a way that made so much sense that I feel like anybody at any level in our company could understand. Really, really cool. So let me give a little shout out to Pest Daily. If you're in the industry, in the pest control industry, check out Pest Daily. Again, we've had Seth on as a guest before. Pest Daily is a training platform for both owners and for employees. It's amazing. This was their first time hosting a conference. So being able to be down there for 2 days, not only just in the sessions, speakers were incredible. I mean, we talked about so many different things, but really the networking was amazing. So the breakfast, the dinners, the conversations in between sessions was really pretty amazing. So a lot of good stuff going on right now. I think in our industry with our company. Maria, I think we've touched on most of our updates, unless there's anything else you can think of.
I'm excited for this episode to be released and for us to check back in on our theme words, and maybe we can share a little bit about our book. in our next episode. But now I'm excited for the new year, and I'm excited for Pico Fest. We have a lot of exciting things coming. So
absolutely. Hey, so we've talked about leaving reviews for this podcast. Can you touch on that for a second? For anybody still listening, if you haven't hit the stop button yet, Maria, talk to us about the reviews and why it's important to us and how they can do that.
Yeah, so I know on Spotify, if you have Spotify, you can leave a review just through the app. Same with the podcast app for Apple. The reviews are great. Just lets us know what you do and you don't like. And also feel free to leave reviews and then tell us topics that you want us, what topics you want us to talk about. It's really helpful, and it gives us ideas too. So we really appreciate all the reviews and all the nice things people have said so far.
And how can they reach out to us? I know we're going to be launching a new website and some things like that, but as far as finding us on social, or if they want to get in touch with you about maybe some recommendations for guests or just any feedback.
Yeah. So with our rebranding, our handles on everything is just the Pruitt Pest Journey. And we also, I just was like, wait, did I say that right?
I was like mouthing it with you. Like,
yeah. And we're also going to have a landing page too, and it'll have all of our resources on there. One of our goals for this podcast is to create value, and we'll include links to all of the what's it called? All of the resources from our episodes. So yeah, we'll have a landing page, we'll have our social media, and you can also message us on Facebook. You'll be hearing from me or Rusty. So a lot of ways to connect.
Absolutely. Well, Maria, good catching up with you. Appreciate everybody listening. Hope this is an awesome year for you and your teams. We're here if we can ever help with anything at all. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.